Also, one another announcement. We will have buses going in the afternoon from 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock to the Jain temple. Ayana Derasar Mate bus jase. 3 buses are scheduled, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Those who wants to go in those buses, there will be a write sheet at the information center. Please write your names.
अनाउंस करशो ने ત્યાં આગળ તે જે દાદા આદિ સુધી જબરજસ્ત સંઘ છે પ્લીઝ કોઓપરેટ વિથ મી આ બધું થોડું મેસેજ કે ધેટ્સ ફાઇન પણ આપણે બધાને વાતે કરતે બધા ડોનાનું પણ લઈ જાય 2 મિનિટ વધારે જશે ડોન્ટ વરી અબાઉટ ધેટ વિલ મેક ધેમ ઓલ હેપી
તમે 30 મુકાવી દો 30 સેકન્ડ
I just want to know કેટલા ક્યારે
ચિંતા નહીં કરો ઘણી વાર જય જૈનેન્દ્ર જય જૈનેન્દ્ર everyone. Please settle down. We are about to start our opening ceremony. Please, music. AV team, please stop the music now. Thank you. All right. Jai Jainendra. 2 more minutes and we will start. Please settle down. Thank you. Okay. Can we have less light here? Thank you. Can we have a quiet in the hall now? We are about to start the program. Jai Jaina everyone. We are starting the program now. All right. How was the parade? Everybody enjoyed? All right. And at the end, we had Ami Zarna, right? That was fantastic. 50% chance of rain, and we didn't have rain until the end. Ami Zarna, as Gurudev would say. All right. So I would now request to come on stage and bless the convention with Namokar Mantra. I would also request Acharya Lokesh Muniji to come on stage and bless us with Manglacharan. Let's start with Manglacharan and Namokar Mantra, please. Sadhviji.
जय जिनेंद्र एवरीवन। कितना अद्भुत समय है। प्रकृति ने अमृत बरसा दिया है इस दिन पर, और हर एक के जैसे बारिश होने के बाद में पत्ती पत्ती खिल उठती है, फूल फूल हंस उठता है, इस तरह से आपके आनंदपूर्ण महकते हुए चेहरे, वह अमृत जो 2500 साल पहले महाप्रभु महावीर ने बांटा था, अहिंसा का, करुणा का, विश्व मैत्री का, वो संदेश आज फिर से हमारे दिल में जगाने के लिए हम यहाँ पर उपस्थित हैं। सबका स्वागत है। करुणा सिद्धांत नहीं, करुणा जीवन हो, ऐसा महावीर ने कहा था। अनेकांत सिद्धांत नहीं, अनेकांत में जीवन हो, ऐसा महाप्रभु ने कहा था। फूल अगर सुगंध की बात करे और फूल ना दे तो वो फूल ही क्या। और अगर जैन अहिंसा की बात करे और उसके जीवन में अहिंसा ना हो तो वो जैन क्या। हम अत्यंत प्रेम के साथ, आनंद के साथ, विश्वास के साथ, उत्साह के साथ इस सभा में उपस्थित है। मैं इस सभा को समव शरण कहती हूँ, और इस समव शरण में आप सभी का स्वागत है। इस प्रसन्नता के भाव में, आनंद के भाव में हम मंगलाचरण करते हैं और हम प्रतिज्ञा करते हैं। सब कहते हैं कि नमोकार मंत्र महामंत्र है, और उस महामंत्र की जो महिमा है वो हमें, जो नमोकार मंत्र का स्मरण करता है, उसे महिमामय बनाती है। आइए हम सब उस महिमा को महसूस करें और उस महिमा को जीवन में उतारें। नमो अरहंताणं, नमो सिद्धाणं, नमो आयर्याणं, नमो अजायाणं, नमो लोये एसो पंच नमोकारो पावपणासनो मंगलाणं च सवेसिं परमं हवै आषाढमं हवै मङ्गलम् अब्धिर्लब्धिकदम्बकस्य तिलको निशेष सूर्यावले रापीड प्रतिबोधने गुणवताम् अग्रेश्वरो वाग्मिनाम् दृष्टान्तो गुरुभक्तिशाली मनसा मौलिस्तपश्रीजुषम् सर्वाश्चर्यमयो महिष्टसमय श्रीगौतमस्तान्मुदे ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। मैं चाहती हूँ 2 लाइनें आप हम सब साथ में गाएं। हम सबको आती है और इसी भावना के साथ हम यहाँ पर आए हैं और इसी भावना को लेकर के जाएंगे। इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना। इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना। हम चले नेक रास्ते पे हमसे भूल कर भी कोई भूल होना। इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना। हम न सोचे हमें क्या मिला है, हम ये सोचे किया क्या है अर्पण। फूल खुशियों के बाटे सभी को, सबका जीवन भी बन जाए मधुबन। अपनी करुणा का जल तू बहा के कर दे पावन हर एक मन का कोना। हाँ हम चले नेक रास्ते पे हमसे भूल कर भी कोई भूल होना। इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना। मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना।
Now Acharya Lokesh Muni ji will do Mangalacharan.
जय जिनेन्द्र। साध्वी श्री संघमित्रा जी द्वारा नमस्कार महामंत्र का पावन स्मरण उच्चारण, मंगलाचरण मंगल पाठ। हर व्यक्ति मंगल चाहता है, हम सभी मंगल चाहते हैं। पंच परमेश्वरी से और अधिक भला क्या मंगल हो सकता है उनकी शरण से। हर व्यक्ति श्रेष्ठ और उत्तम चाहता है। पंच परमेश्वरी से और क्या अधिक श्रेष्ठ और उत्तम हो सकता है। और हम उनकी शरण स्वीकार करते हैं क्योंकि आज की दुनिया में हर व्यक्ति सुरक्षा कवच चाहता है और उससे बड़ी ओजोन की छतरी सुरक्षा का कोई कवच हो नहीं सकता। तो आइए बंधुओं, हम सभी अपने हृदय स्थल पर हाथों को जोड़ करके आंखों को बंद करके आंतरिक रूप से हमारा शरीर, हमारा मन, हमारी इंद्रिया, हमारी आत्मा, हमारी भावनाएं का एकीकरण करके चत्तारि मंगलम अरहंता मंगलम सिद्धा मंगलम साहु मंगलम केवलिपन्नतो धम्मो मंगलम चत्तारि लोकोत्तमा अरहंता लोकोत्तमा सिद्धा लोकोत्तमा साहु लोकोत्तमा केवलिपन्नतो धम्मो लोकोत्तमो चत्तारि शरणं पवज्जामि अरहन्ते शरणं पवज्जामि सिद्धे शरणं पवज्जामि साहु शरणं पवज्जामि केवलिपन्नतं धम्मं शरणं पवज्जामि। सभी भाई बहनों से कहूंगा उच्चारण के साथ उच्च स्वर में चत्तारि शरणं पवज्जामि अरहन्ते शरणं पवज्जामि सिद्धे शरणं पवज्जामि साहु शरणं पवज्जामि केवलिपन्नतं धम्मं शरणं पवज्जामि। बोलिए भगवान महावीर स्वामी की, जैन धर्म की ओम अरहत।
Now request Shobhaben Vora, who is the chair of PR, Marketing and Souvenir Committee for the convention, part of convention board, to say some opening remarks.
Thank you, Ashok bhai. First, Jai Jinendra, everybody. Thank you. So now, namaste and good morning. I'm really happy that you are here. Jaina is delighted to have you here to participate in the 18th Biennial Jaina Convention, and which is hosted by Society of Greater Atlanta. Go! Many of you have traveled long distances all over the US and all over the world. We thank you for it, for taking the time out of your life to celebrate and participate in the convention. This convention always serves a reminder to us for our relationship to one another and to Jainism. I am honored to have opportunity to welcome you. It feels joy that to offer pranam to all our sadhujis and sadhvijis and scholars, speakers. You are going to with Jainism and the message of non-violence. So pranam, and we welcome you, and we really want to come here, come to the Atlanta and give us the message. Thank you very much. Anyway, so Ashok bhai is our convener. He is also first VP of Jaina, and he is bringing our very special guests who are coming here. So here is Ashok bhai.
Thank you, Shobhaben. I would now request President of Jaina, Prem Bhai Jain, my friend for quarter century, to come and welcome this convention, all of you.
Jai Jinendra. Dear Acharyagan, Sadhu Sadhviji, Shamni ji, Bhattarak ji, Swami ji, Gurudev, our all keynote speaker, Congressman John Lewis, he just arrived, Ambassador Andrew Young, Nipun Mehta, and distinguished scholars, speakers, and all participants.
On behalf of Jaina, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this beautiful city is the birthplace of the civil rights movement as well as non-violence movement. So I cannot think of any more fitting place to meet and discuss this year's convention theme, Jainism, the world of non-violence. With the blessings of late Acharya Sushil Kumarji and Gurudev Shri Chitra Bhanuji, who unfortunately is not present due to his health, Jaina was officially formed in 1981. Since then, Jaina has made significant progress in serving the Jain community and creating a new model for Jain unity in North America. We actively promote Jain values like ahimsa, non-violence, anekantvad, non-absolutism, and aparita, non-possessiveness, and serve the globe through our humanitarian, educational, and interfaith work. Now, I will talk about few members of the Jain community which has contributed a lot. When I mention, please rise up. Let's salute all the past Jain presidents. Please stand up. All the Jaina directors, all the YJA, YJP members, past and current EC members, Jaina committee chairs and members, Jaina Ratna award recipients, and all Jain centers, and thousands of volunteers and members of our community. Please give them a big round of applause for their contribution to Jaina and for many achievements our organizations has accomplished over the last 34 years. One accomplishment that I'm very excited and passionate about is the first time we have published this book of Bhagwan Mahavir. This will help shape young minds to make Mahavir Bhagwan as a superhero of non-violence. Today, also many new projects. Jaina student loan program. We have also 12 students came from India. Please rise up. Jaina youth exchange program, Jain temple virtual tour, Jaina wellness program, and Jain health forum. Please go to Jaina booth for more information. Looking forward, Jaina needs to take bold steps and build upon this foundation to take a bigger, impactful projects. For instance, imagine if we had a youth center for our younger generation, a fund for entrepreneurship, or we provided health services in hospitals the Jain way. What if we had meditation and non-violent theme parks, more Jain studies in universities across North America and the world, or invited anyone and everyone who lives and follows a Jain way of life in our conventions? These are the type of questions we need to be asking now so that we can take our message of Jainism and non-violence to a new heights in the near future. At this time, I would also ask you to take a few moments of silence for those who lost their lives in the recent earthquake in Nepal, the recent church tragedy in Charleston, and the victims of all other terrorist attacks throughout the world. And we also want to give special tribute to Dr. Jagat Jain, our past president, and remember him for all his contribution to Jaina. Please take a moment of silence for 10 seconds. Thank you. Let's dream of a world of non-violence, be more aware of how we treat this beautiful planet, and strive to be happier as individuals. We should take forward Bhagwan Mahavir's message of live and let live, and all become ambassador of ahimsa, peace, non-violence, and forgiveness. Let us challenge each other how we can implement these practices at home, at work, at all our social gatherings to continue to better ourselves. As Martin Luther King Jr. says, the time is always right to do what is right. Let's do the right thing in all our life, beginning with this weekend by discussing non-violence in an open setting, building community, share our passion, and having an amazing time. Thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoy everything our convention has put together for you. Jai Jaina.
Thanks, Prempai. So now I will give my welcome address. I'm Ashok Domadia, convener for the convention. Welcome to Atlanta and welcome to this Jaina convention. This is the 18th convention in a row. And as you can see, we learn from each convention, try to make it a little bit better next convention. Acharya Shri, Gurudev, Sadhu Sadhvijis, and all the speakers and invited guests and all of you. Thank you for coming. You have come from all over the world. We have attendees from 10 different countries, of course, including large numbers from US and Canada. This is the first convention ever in Atlanta, Jaina Convention. After 35 years, not only Atlanta, but Southeast region is hosting the first convention. Please give a round of applause to Atlanta team for hosting this Jaina Convention. Thank you to Jain Sangh of Atlanta for hosting us. It was in October 2012 when I first came to Atlanta to talk to Deepak Bhai Shah and his team in Atlanta about hosting the convention. So this convention is 2.5 years in the making. Over 300 volunteers have been involved and a lot of planning has gone into it. We have 4,000 attendees at this convention. That is a record. I hope you enjoyed the Ras Ramzat and the parade, and we had Amivarsha, as I said earlier, at the end, so that was a nice touch. The theme of this convention is Jainism, the world of nonviolence. Atlanta, as you know, is the birthplace of nonviolence in USA. And Dr. Martin Luther King was disciple of Gandhiji. Gandhiji was disciple of Srimad Rajchandra. So there is a direct link between Atlanta and nonviolence. So when we met as a convention board to discuss the theme of the convention, it took us like very short time that it just made sense to have the theme of Jainism, the world of nonviolence, for this convention in Atlanta. We have religious tracks, of course. We have 9 tracks in parallel. We have religious, social, education, professional. So please take a few minutes to go through the program guide and decide which one. And I bet you will have difficulty in choosing which to go to because they are all good. So, and that's the challenge we wanted to give you, that find the one you like. The times are changing, and times actually have changed. In last decade, we have seen that our youths are more interested in kriyas and all that. They are more interested in practicing Jainism in daily life. So with that in mind, Jaina has also moved, and this convention in that direction, and we are offering a lot of sessions on vegan food, for example, entrepreneurship and other things where they can practice Jainism in daily life, and you will see Jaina move towards that in the future as well. We have a fantastic cultural program this evening. I saw the glimpses of it 2 weeks ago when I was here, and it is something you do not want to miss. So please join the culture program starting at 7:30 p.m. and it includes Jain's Got Talent as well. Tomorrow evening we have Kumar Sanu live he is performing right this moment in Goa and then catching flight to come to Atlanta just for you. And I attended his concert 2 weeks ago in San Jose, California, and it was just electrifying. The moment he comes on stage and until he leaves, so please attend that. We don't want to miss that. We tried very hard actually to get video of Prime Minister Narendra Modi due to his international travels and extremely busy schedule when he's in India. We could not get it in time. However, we have a letter from him, which I will request a little later. Yes, to read it to you. So we have dignitaries here, lots of dignitaries. A couple of them I want to recognize. The presence here is Mayor Bucky Johnson, Mayor of Atlanta is here. So thank you for being here. We have Consul General here. We have keynote speakers. We have amazing keynote speaker. Dr. Martin Luther King's two leaders, his right hand and left hand. If you have watched movie Selma, when he crosses the bridge, they are right next to him. They are alive and they are here right now, and they are our keynote speaker today. It's Ambassador Andrew Young and Congressman John Lewis. And we have a youth keynote speaker, Nipun Mehta. Those of you who have heard him needs no introduction. He is an amazing speaker. You will remember his keynote speech rest of your life. That's how good he is. And he has been my friend for many years. I would now like to request President of Jain Sangh of Greater Atlanta, JSGA, Mr. Samir Shah, to come and welcome this convention.
Thank you, Ashok Bhai. Jai Jinendra. Jai Jinendra. I didn't hear yet. I want the response back. I want the echo in this room. Jai Jinendra. Good morning, everyone. I'm Samir. I'm representing the local Sangh Jain Society of Greater Atlanta, welcoming you for the first ever convention, Jaina convention, which is the 18th biennial, first time in a history for Southeast. Welcome to everyone. We established our society back in 1994 with less than 25 families. We grew over a period of years to almost 600 families at this point. I am so proud of our society, our volunteers, from seniors to youth, who have done so much to make this event happen. From time, effort, energy, donation, just countless things. I take a moment to thank you, all our keynote speakers, sadhu sadhvis, monks, VIPs, all the donors who have graciously given so much time and everything so that we can all be here and enjoying this great convention. Now I want to take a moment to talk about the world we live in today, and one way how we Jains fit into that. A darkness covers our world. The arbitrary abuse of the fellow human beings are evidence of faith misplaced. Jainism, our faith and our belief in non-violence, is the beacon of light in this dark world. We must use our strength of our faith to stem the darkness. As one of the Atlanta's greatest leaders, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. started as the center of nonviolence, stands the principle of love. Our burden as leaders, as elders, as parents, as peers, is to ensure that our youth, the next generation, believes in and accepts in their souls of the core principle of the Jainism. This world needs Jainism more than ever. The message of nonviolence, of acceptance, of non-possessiveness are more important today than ever before. I need your help in making sure that our message and our faith is heard very loud and clear in our homes, in our temples, in our communities, and across the country and globally. In the end, we're nothing more than our actions and our memories. Over the next 4 days, let us try to find actions to make sure this world is a better place, and let's forge new and lasting memories with the friends and families. Finally, I want to thank you, all of you who are attending the convention, not just from the North America, but 20 different countries, and giving us the responsibility as a hosting center for this wonderful convention. I hope you have a wonderful time in our city, and whatever we could do, just let us know. Give us a chance to show our Southern hospitality for the Jaina Convention 2015. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir Bhai. I would now like to request our special guest, Consul General of India, Nagesh Singh, to come and read Prime Minister Modi's welcome letter.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nagesh Singh. I'm the Consul General of India in Atlanta, and welcome all of you to this city, and I extend my greetings and good wishes for the convention to be a big success. I have the privilege of reading this message from the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi. The message starts, I'm happy to learn that Jaina, a federation of more than 70 Jain communities in North America, is hosting its 18th biennial convention at Atlanta, USA on July 2nd, 2015. Thank you. I'm also pleased to note that the theme for this year's convention is World of Nonviolence. I hope this convention will emerge as an effective platform for the distinguished delegates to reflect on the teachings of Lord Mahavira and his eternal message of ahimsa. On this occasion, I wish the conference all success. Narendra Modi. Thank you very much.
Jai Jainendra, everybody. Now I have the pleasure to introduce Gunwant Shah. I think he is such a famous personality in Jains, he really doesn't need an introduction. But anyway, he is a retired professor from New Jersey. He is Jaina's treasurer to the present, and he started 2013. And he is Jaina Convention Committee member to all the youth programs. I will not mention it because we'll spend whole day mentioning all the committees. So anyway, here is Gunwant Bhai.
Jai Jainendra. I didn't hear that. Jai Jainendra. Okay. We know that Gurudev Chitrabanuji is not here today. He hasn't missed any convention for all these years. In 35 years, his presence has vibrated the Jaina convention. Chitrabanuji was the founder member of Jaina 35 years ago with Acharya Sri Sushil Kunde Maharaj Ji. Today, we are going to feel his presence by watching his video, blessing this convention. He is not here because of reason that his health does not permit him to travel. But when you see on the video, he's very well moving around. We don't want him to travel because of risk we don't want to take. And that because of that reason, Pramodaban cannot be here today either. Somebody has to be with him all the time. We are very lucky to have Gurudev Chitrabanuji in his absence with the video, going to bless this convention. May I have the video, please?
Jai Jinendra. My dear President and Executive Committee members and all the people who are participating, I say Jai Jinendra to all of you. I am very happy to receive your invitation, and you carried on the mission which we created in 1981, and it has brought so many Jains and the people who did not know Jain, but they realized the of Jaina. The first is ahimsa, not to hurt anyone with word, thought and action. And second is anekanta, means to respect others' point of view and not only try to impose our thoughts. And this is the openness, and that is why I call it ahimsa is a highway where all the exits of the belief meet there. And third is aparigraha, means simplicity of life. And living these principles, we are able to make this human life meaningful, purposeful, and at the time of departure, we don't go from here with the empty hand. Dear friends, thank you for your invitation, but because of my health and age, I am not able to participate. But my blessings, my prayer are with all of you. Bless you. Jai Jinendra. Jai Jinendra.
Gurudev is 93 years old, and in New Jersey, we've been celebrating his birthday from last 10 years, and he's always there to bless from New Jersey all over the world to the Jains of United States, Canada, and all over the world. Thank you. Sorry for the poor quality of this video because we didn't have enough light in his apartment in New York, but that's the best we can get. Thank you.
Thank you, Gulman Bhai. Now, I have pleasure to introduce the greatest person in Atlanta, Mr. Deepak Shah, our co-convener, our fundraising person. For us, he is a superhero. So here you come. Only thing I couldn't give him superhero badge. That's it.
Before Deepak Bhai come here, I just want to make one clarification. All programs for age 6 to 13 are in this building, and anyone over 12 or 13 are in the Marriott building. So that's clear.
Param Pujya Acharya Shri Ji, Lokesh Muni Ji, Sadhu Sadhvi Ji, and respected guest. On behalf of Jaina and on behalf of Jain Society of Greater Atlanta, it's my distinct pleasure to welcome all of you here. Today, our governor, Nathan Deal, could not make it, but he has sent a congratulations to Jaina for this 18th biennial convention, first time here in Atlanta. He has sent us a small video, so I would request to please start a video from Governor Nathan Deal. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Governor Nathan Deal. To all the attendees of the 18th Biennial Jaina Convention, welcome to Georgia and our capital city, Atlanta. We are honored to be hosting over 3,000 people from across the nation and the world for the first Jaina conference ever held in the southeastern United States. In particular, I would like to thank Dr. Schiff for bringing this wonderful convention to Atlanta and for the invitation to address you. The theme of your conference is promoting a world of nonviolence. We are proud of Georgia's native son, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and his legacy of action through nonviolence, which is still evident today throughout our state. Atlanta is home of world-class educational institutions, such as Georgia Tech and Emory University, and I applaud your efforts to provide a better education for your children and grandchildren. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to briefly address you, and I hope you have a productive and enjoyable convention here in Atlanta.
All right. Thank you, Deepak Bhai. Now we will go into lamp lighting ceremony. I would request all Sangpatis, Mahasangpati, Emerald Donors to come on stage, please. And my co-conveners, please come on the stage as well. Mahasangpati Savan and Riya Shah, Atul and Rupa Doshi. Sangpati is Gulab Bhai and Mohan Bhai Kothari.
दादा आदिश्वर जी हा 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 दादा आदिश्वर जी हो दूर थी आव्यो दादा दर्शन जो दूर थी आव्यो दादा दर्शन जो दादा दर्शन जो दादा दर्शन जो दादा आदिश्वर जी हा दादा आव्यो दादा दर्शन जो दूर थी आव्यो दादा दर्शन जो दादा दर्शन जो दादा दर्शन जो दादा आदेश्वर जी दादा आदेश्वर जी आवे हाथी घोड़े कोई आवे चढ़े पलाणे कोई आवे पग पाड़े कोई आवे चढ़े पलाणे कोई आवे पग पाड़े कोई आवे हाथी घोड़े कोई आवे चढ़े पलाणे कोई आवे पग पाड़े दादा ने दरबार ओहो दादा ने दरबार आवे हाथी घोड़े आवे हाथी घोड़े राजा आवे चढ़े पलाणे हूँ आहूँ पग पाड़े दादा ने दरबार हाँ दादा ने दरबार हो दादा ने दरबार हाँ दादा ने दरबार हाँ दादा ने दरबार हाँ दादा ने दरबार दादा आदिश्वर जी दादा आदिश्वर जी सोना रूपा कोई मुके मोहर कोई मुके चपटी चोखा कोई मुके मोहर कोई मुके चपटी चोखा કોઈ મૂકી સોના રૂપા, કોઈ મૂકી મોહર અને કોઈ મૂકે ચપટી ચોખા દાદાને દરબાર. દાદાને દરબાર, ઓહો દાદાને દરબાર. શેઠ મૂકે સોના રૂપા, શેઠ મૂકે સોના રૂપા, રાજા મૂકે મોહર અને હું મૂકું ચપટી ચોખા દાદાને દરબાર. હા હા દાદાને દરબાર, હો દાદાને દરબાર. દાદાને દરબાર, હા હા દાદાને દરબાર. દાદાને દરબાર, હા હા દાદાને દરબાર. આદિશ્વરજી,
Yes. I would request to take a bow as I announce the name. Savan and Riya Shah Mahasangpati. Thank you for being Mahasangpati. Please step forward.
We will be presenting a special appreciation token to Mahasangpati, Savan Bhai and his wife and the family. We have helped to the Jaina convention. Then second Mahasangpati is Atul and Rupa Doshi and family. We will appreciate you come ahead also. Now we will be presenting our token of appreciation, a plaque to Gulab Chand and Mohan Ben Kothari as a Sangpati. Okay. Now, thank you Gulab Chand Bhai and Mohan Ben. Now other Sangpati is Mahendra Bhai and Madhuri. Please come ahead and accept our token of appreciation. Thank you very much. Now Santosh Bhai and Sarla Kotari, he is our board member too. Okay, Santosh Bhai made a grand entrance. Come on, Santosh Bhai and Sarla Bhai. All right. Okay. Now, one of our Sangpati who started as a corporate sponsor, but he loved us so much that he became a Sangpati. And it is a store owner, Patel Brothers, Mafat Kaka Patel. We call him Mafat Kaka and Vasant Bhai Patel.
I want to add one thing. All the groceries for all 4 days are donated by Mafat Kaka, Mafat Bhai Patel. Just an amazing person. Anything we needed from India, murtis, dandiyas, everything, no charge. He brought it from India on his ships. Just an amazing person. Anything we need, he's always there for us.
Not only he donated, help us this year, in all Jaina convention since last 3-4 years, he is helping Jaina, like cash donation or giving groceries for all our programs.
Now our greatest friend, greatest Jain, Mr. Prem Jain, our grand sponsor, the unspoken hero of Jaina. We thank you all the sponsor. We appreciate it. Without you, the convention won't be here. Thank you. I will appreciate if everybody starts their candles and show the appreciation. Thank you very much. Please turn on the candles.
All All the candles are on? Let me check. Please dim the lights on the stage at least. Thank you. So we can see the candles. All right. So officially the convention is open. Thank you. Thanks to all of you for your generous support. You know, this convention set the record in many respects. One of them is fundraising. We had over $600,000 in fundraising, $250,000 right here in Atlanta, and then Chicago, New Jersey, San Francisco, Detroit, New York, Toronto, and all cities in between. We have seen the excitement, we have seen your generous donation, and we appreciate it very, very much. This convention cannot come together without it, because as you probably know, half of it is covered by the registration fee, other half comes from fundraising. So record fundraising at this convention, $600,000. Thank you. Thanks to all of you. Now I would request all of you to take seat in the, okay. Thank you all.
All right. The main focus of Jaina and Jainism, our great youth. To introduce those leaders, we have our Ritaben Seth, who will be introducing, and plus Dilip Punathar. These both are our convention members. And everybody works so hard, we need them to appreciate other people too.
Isn't she electrifying? Look at her, lot of energy. Jai Jinendra. This is very short, so we should be able to do it in a few seconds. One of the things that Jaina is doing is to really bring a lot of young next generation to... Thank you. One of the things, can you hear me? Very good. One of the things Jaina is doing is to pass this thing to the next generation. That is our ultimate goal. So here I am to introduce YJ co-chair. His name is Prerak. He's elated to have the opportunity to lead an organization that is dear to his heart. And that is YJ of America. Currently, he is a P3 at Georgia Pecan School of Pharmacy near Atlanta. He is originally from Philadelphia. Sports fan. He attended the Pennsylvania State University for undergrad. He enjoys playing any sport, watching movies, and hanging out with friends. Whether you like to talk about pharmaceutical interaction or how Jainism has impacted our modern society, you know you can reach out to Prerak. Let's welcome Prerak. Actually, there are two co-chairs. Second one is a Sneha Parikh co-chair. Come on, Prerak. I will also give you introduction of Sneha. Sneha is so excited to be a YJ co-chair this year. She was born and raised in Connecticut, and she attended the University of Connecticut for undergrad and Northeastern University for her master's degree. She currently lives in Boston and works with stroke patients. She works as a speech-language pathologist. You can see the kids are making huge impact here. When Sneha is not working on YJA related things, you can find her cooking, reading, running, or taking naps in the sun. She loves to meet new people. So please welcome Prerak and Sneha Parikh. Sneha couldn't be here, that is my knowledge right now. But Prerak is here. Congratulations, Prerak. Good job.
Jaina, everyone. It's my honor here to be here as current co-chair of Young Jains of America. And I'd like to welcome everybody, all the youth, all the parents. And I just want to say a few words. Without all the parents, without all the speakers, the dignitaries, and our executive board members, this would not be a possibility. And we are very honored to have a chance to take the next step as far as Jaina and the future of Jaina. Thank you very much.
All right, now we are moving into the session that you all been waiting for, the 3 keynote speeches, which you will remember for the rest of your life. I would now like to invite Madhuben Seth, my convention board member and instrumental in bringing all the keynote speakers here, to introduce Congressman John Lewis. Madhuben? Madhuben? Yes.
About 525 Negroes had left Brown's Chapel and walked 6 blocks to cross Pettus Bridge and the Alabama River. Young and old, and they carried an assortment of packs, bedrolls, and lunch sacks. The troopers were waiting 300 yards beyond the end of the bridge. Behind the troopers were dozens of possemen, 15 of them on horses, and perhaps 100 white spectators.
This is an unlawful assembly. You have 2 minutes to disperse. Go home or go to your church. This march will not continue.
May I have a word with the Major?
There's no word to be had.
Major Cloud, may we speak with you?
Troopers, advance!
The troopers continued pushing, using both the force of their bodies and the prodding of their nightsticks.
Wow. What courage, determination, and leadership one can see in these prophets of non-violence. Today, we are gathered here to talk about Jainism, the world of non-violence. Where would you see a better example of non-violence than this movie clip? We all saw this. Lord Mahavir preached Jainism 2,600 years ago. He had great following such as Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and Mother Teresa. Today, we don't have any of them here with us, but we have the best example of true participants of non-violence with us, Congressman John Robert Lewis. He was born in Alabama to a sharecropper parents in 1940. Started civil rights movements very early in his life, but in 1957 at American Baptist Theological Seminary, he learned all about nonviolence. He learned about not only nonviolence, he became the Big Six leaders of the civil rights movements, and he helped plan the March on Washington, which I am sure we all have seen on the TV, and we all know what happened at that time. In 1965, to implement the civil rights law, they crossed this famous bridge. I think it's a bridge, where they were beaten so severely. Even today, Mr. Lewis is wearing the scar. It is a permanent scar he is wearing. In 1981, he was elected to the House of Representatives. Since then, he has fought very powerfully. He has fought poverty, health care, better education, and especially the Voting Rights Act. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you the person who has been working for the past 50 years with great conviction, Mr. Congressman John Robert Lewis.
Jaina, thank you very much for those kind words of introduction. Welcome to Atlanta. Welcome here. I must tell you that I'm delighted, very happy, and very pleased to see each and every one of you. If it hadn't been for Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and others teaching the philosophy and the discipline of nonviolence, I wouldn't be standing here today. Thank you for preaching and teaching and living the way of peace, the way of love, the way of nonviolence. Before any sit-in at a lunch counter, before any stand-in at a theater, before any march on Washington, or any march from Selma to Montgomery, we studied the way of peace, the way of love, the way of nonviolence. If it hadn't been for the teaching of Gandhi, the teaching of Martin Luther King Jr., there would be no Barack Obama as President of the United States of America today. So more than anything else, I come here to say thank you. Thank you for being you. On that video, you saw someone playing me. I was beaten, left bloody, had a concussion on that bridge, thought I was going to die. I thought I saw death. A few short years ago, here in America, people of color and white people couldn't board a Greyhound bus in Washington, D.C. and be seated together and travel through Virginia, through North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. We were on our way to New Orleans. We were beaten. We were left bloody, left unconscious. But one of the guys that beat me in Rock Hill, South Carolina in 1961, the same year that President Barack Obama was born, he was a member of the Klan. May 1961. Our office in Washington, D.C. in February 2009 and said, Mr. Lewis, I'm one of the men that you and your colleague. He was in his 70s, his son was in his 40s. he said, I want to apologize. Will you forgive me? His son started crying. He started crying. And I said, I accept your apology. I forgive you. They hugged me and I started crying. And I saw this gentleman and his son for the time. That is the power of the way of peace. That is the power of the way of love. That is the power of the way of nonviolence. We can build a non-violent world, a world at peace with itself, and lay down the world of violence. Gandhi said on one occasion, it is non-violence or non-existent. And Martin Luther King Jr. said, to live together as brothers and sisters, or we will perish as fools. You're showing us the way. You're teaching us the way. We must teach our children, our young people, and generation yet unborn, that we must leave this little planet, leave this little piece of real estate we call Earth, a little greener, a little cleaner, and a little more peaceful for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Now, Madhuben. Now, Madhuben and Ashok Bhai will present a piece of token of appreciation to Congressman John Lewis. Thank you.
Sure. I want to take a moment to thank Representative John Lewis for his sacrifices, for leading the civil rights movement in US. Because of their effort, me and all of us here are enjoying equal rights thanks to them. Otherwise, we would have faced a lot of discrimination in this country for last however long you've been here. For 35 years, I have personally enjoyed fruits of your sacrifice. So thank you very much for all your sacrifice on behalf of everybody. I would now like to request my other co-convener, Harshad Shah, to introduce Ambassador Andrew Young.
I just received a good news from our board member Atul Bhai Shah that Patel has contributed $5,001 for this happy occasion. Thank you for Jaina Convention.
So while they are coming up, there is a family that needs a bone marrow transplant, and we have a booth out here starting at noon, bone marrow, and it will be there tomorrow also. So please consider helping them out. Thank you. And the booth will be on the right side.
Jai Jinendra. It is my distinct honor to introduce our next speaker. He has served as a congressman from Georgia's 5th Congressional District, the United States District, United States Ambassador to the United Nations, and Mayor of Atlanta. But more important is very active in matters of finance and organizational techniques, and worked quietly behind the scene of the African American civil rights movement. Mr. Young, marched by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. side, and he has awarded Presidential Medal of Freedom. Please join me in welcoming and introducing Mr. Andrew Young Jr. Thank you.
Some go so far as to call it the city that Andy built. But long before he helped transform Atlanta into an international destination and commerce center as its unconventional mayor.
I, Andrew Young, do solemnly swear.
Long before he was U.S. ambassador to the United Nations under President Jimmy Carter. Long before he was the state's first black congressman since Reconstruction. And even before he met Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and set out to reweave the very fabric of this country through a campaign of nonviolent social change. Before all that, Andrew Young got his start in television.
The CBS television network presents Look Up and Live. Our host is the Reverend Andrew J. Young, Associate Director of the Department of Youth Work, National Council of Churches.
That, of course, was Dick Van Dyke, giving his pantomime impression of the subject of the drama you'll be seeing in a few moments. The ugly one. It's about a boy, 15, 16. That age when boys seem to be all feet and legs and ears, extremities.
Little did Andy know then he would soon, very soon, be on television for different reasons. On the front lines of the civil rights movement, he suffered a sustained beating, but he never dreamed of hitting back.
This is a revolution. Won't fire a shot. We won't break a window. We won't even curse anybody. We only come with the power of our souls and the presence of our bodies to love the hell out of the state of Alabama.
Television for us was the only educational medium through which we could communicate with the nation.
Just a few short years later, that war was over. It was on TV again, running for Congress and making this astounding prediction.
What about the chances of a black being elected to the office of president or vice president?
I think we'll see that in our lifetime also.
This is a man who has lived most of his life in front of television cameras. And those of us who have known him and covered him over the years can attest he has never shied from controversy.
Well, no former president ever had a United Nations representative or ambassador like you. We formed a wonderful partnership. You know, I had my own ideas about what we wanted to do. You far exceeded any expectations that I had.
Jaina. Like John Lewis, we owe a great debt to you. And I particularly owe a great debt to John Lewis. Council of Churches and on television, when my wife and I saw John leading the sit-in movement in Nashville in 1960. And my wife said immediately, "It's time for us to go home." I said, "But we are home." She said, "No, our home is not New York. Our home is down south." And so she incidentally had studied nonviolence in college as a freshman, learning about Gandhi, and it was through her that I got my first lessons on nonviolence. But we've continued, and we've continued to redeem the soul of America from the triple evils of racism, war, and poverty. Now, I think we've tried to do very well, and we're making enormous progress on race, and we're even doing better on war. But we've made little or no progress in ending poverty in this nation or in much of the world. And so the challenge for us is one that we share with you, and one that is the only nonviolent answer to conflict. If people have jobs and if people have food, they are far less likely to be violent. But much of the violence on this planet, which is now approaching 7 billion people, exists because there are only 1.2 billion jobs. That if you define a job as 30 hours a week, year-round, only 1.2 billion jobs exist on the planet. And many of the people who are fighting, much of the disease, most of the problems occur because people do not have a productive way of using their talents and creating income and opportunity for themselves and their children. You are known not only for being people and religious people, but you're known for being enterprising people. You work hard, you create businesses, you generate wealth to make India and the world a much better place. I continue to challenge you that that is the future for us. We are doing well in Atlanta. We decided we could only do well together. And so when we built this building, when we built our airport, built the Olympic venues, we did not have a single contract that was not inclusive of black and white and brown and male and female on every contract. In fact, for the Olympics, 41% of all of the business done by the Olympics was done by minority and female-owned companies. And when we built the airport, this last section, which included the hotel that many of you are staying in, it was 50-50, male, female, black and white. That also includes brown, beige, Asian, Oriental. But what we should is to have a peaceful economy. Everybody has got to be included. And if everybody is not included, the ones who are left out will turn to crime and violence, not just because they're bad, but because they're filled with bitterness and because they're hungry. And so one of the challenges that we have tried to do in our foundation is to find ways to feed the hungry, first of the South, to create jobs mostly for the minorities who were slaves. At the time this country fought its independence, Civil War, the largest economic indicator in the entire American enterprise was not the railroads. The railroads were second. They were a $2.5 billion asset to America at the time of the Civil War. But slavery was a $4 billion asset. The slavery of Africans and indentured white servants helped to create this great economy. But we could not have continued it unless we all lived up to, as John said, what Martin Luther King taught us. Either we will learn to live together as brothers and sisters and work together as sisters, or we will perish together as fools. And so I thank you for standing up for nonviolence, for good business, for the respect of all humanity. But that also must include the respect for the entire economy. We who come from Africa, and many of you have grown up and lived in Africa at some time in your business lives. Many were born in Africa. But Africa, and though the Organization of African Unity has developed what they call a plan program for infrastructure development, which is quite sound academically. It would open up the continent of Africa's markets to the world. One mistake: they did not consider the people. They did not consider the wildlife. They did not consider the environment. That if the AU plan goes through, it will do more damage to Africa than the Europeans did in 1890. And so the development of our world, our planet, has to be sensitive to humanity. It has to be sensitive to animal life. It has to be sensitive to the trees and the shrubs and the environment, and the water must be clean and fresh. And we must find a way to respect and preserve and respect the earth to which God has entrusted us. And that's what we are trying to do in our Congress, in our voting. But when I turned 80, I didn't go around chasing things all over the world. I had to settle down here in Atlanta and work through my foundation. And one of the things we've been trying to do is to help people to understand that this is a global economy. There can't be prosperity in America, or better still, there can't be prosperity in Germany if there's no prosperity in Greece. They may not like it, but they are tied together. And the proof of that is that because of the lack of growth in Germany, we have attracted more than 1,500 German companies to Atlanta. And they've come here because we believe in business, we believe in sharing economic opportunity. We have created a peaceful and prosperous economy where their investments are safe, where we function honestly, and where our business ties are efficient, and we don't let any business get bogged down in bureaucracy or corruption or any of the things that prohibit the growth and development of this planet that God has given us. Now, there's one last problem that we share. And we realize that those of us who grew across the South, John and I marched from Selma to Montgomery. We had to stop at farmers who owned land all across the way. In fact, they extend all the way from Texas to Savannah. But it's hard now for a farmer to make a living. And so we've been trying to find new crops. And one of the crops that we've discovered and have been working on, it's really been there all along. The first time I saw it was when I was with Law Engineering in Uganda. And the Victoria Dam at the base of the Nile had gotten totally clogged up with this nasty looking green gook. And the engineers made me stories into this dam. And everywhere around was nothing but this sea of green. And I said to myself then, God put this on earth for some purpose. We just haven't found out what it is. And so we're spending our time trying to kill it. A few years ago, I discovered the same green mess in the swamps of Louisiana. But instead of trying to kill it, we're trying to grow it. And we're trying to grow it fast enough and plentiful enough so that as we refine it, it produces the most enriched and pure protein on the face of the earth. It's called duckweed. But as we grow it and as we refine it, we find that what comes out of this little plant that we thought was such a nuisance in Uganda, if we respect it and develop it, 1 tablespoon of the protein that we refine gives you more nutrition than a whole chicken or an 8-ounce steak. I think that's what Jainism has been all about. And when I read about the shortage of protein in India, and we have the shortage of protein here, I realize that working together, in the words of one of our hymns that Gandhi used to like, earth hath no sorrow that heaven cannot heal. And so I look forward to working with you, figure out a way to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to heal the sick, and actually even the sickness in the world. Everywhere you find AIDS and Ebola, if you look carefully, there was at least 25 years of war going on in Uganda and Sudan and Ethiopia before AIDS occurred, HIV. It was the blood diamonds in Sierra Leone and Liberia that stopped the farmers from farming, that stopped people from eating their traditional foods. And when hunger set in, their immune system broke down, and this disease we call Ebola occurred and became something of a fearful plague for many of the people of the earth. It's been there a long, long time. But people who had good nutrition and people who lived and ate and worked in the traditions of their ancestors had built up an immunity to those diseases. And so I say, we are very successful. Most of us are far more successful than we ever thought we would be in life. But Gandhi respected Jesus as we respected Gandhi. In fact, I couldn't appreciate this until I understood Gandhi, because we don't talk about the nonviolent Jesus. And so I say to you, welcome to Atlanta. Thank you for your witness to the truth and your presence in our lives. But God is only beginning to work with us and through us. For as long as they're hungry, as long as there's violence, as long as there's disrespect for the environment, our message and our needs are going to be very, very much in demand. God bless you. Jai Janandra.
Mr. Young, thank you very much for your time. And I have watched you when you were with President Carter, because I was here in the country. And what I'd like to say that his name would I like to suggest something, Andrew Young Jr. Jain.
If I can take 2 more minutes. President Carter led this country without war for 4 years. And it was very simple. It was the politics of respect. Anybody anywhere to tell them what to do in the rest of the world. He always, when he sent me to Africa, he said, ask African leaders, black and white, brown, Indian, ask them, what can we do to help? And they asked us to help a peaceful transformation of Southern Africa. When he went to Egypt, they did not want to go to war, but they alone couldn't find a way to stay. So they asked him for their help. And they had a peace treaty now that's almost 50 years old, where no Egyptian has killed any Israeli and no Israeli has killed any Egyptian. Peace and love and respect are the only ways to make Jainism a true revelation of the Spirit of God on this planet. Thank you very much.
I would like to invite R.K. Sahagal and Jagdish Sheth to present this award to Ambassador Andrew Young. Thank you.
I want to make just one comment that this conference, which is held here after a long time, maybe the first time, and we are very fortunate. The theme of this conference is nonviolent, and you got the 2 remaining pillars of nonviolence, John Lewis and Andy Young. And I want you to know that when you saw the movie, John Lewis was bloodied in that movie, and Andy Young was there when Martin Luther King died. He died in his lap in Memphis, Tennessee. So these 2 people you have seen, you will not see them in your next convention. So let's give them a round of applause. Andy Young and John Lewis, the icon, the custodian of this nonviolent started by Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you.
We would not have been able to invite these 2 wonderful keynote speakers without R.K. Sagal's help and Jagdish Sheth's help. I want to thank them personally. Thank you so much.
That was John Sigel, And what's interesting is he is the one who hired Ambassador Andrew Young when he was young. That was the first job he had given. So thanks to John Segal for bringing him here, as well as taking care of Ambassador Andrew Young in his young days. Now, the next, I have privilege to introduce my friend, our last keynote speaker of the day, Nipun Mehta. Nipun is an amazing personality. You will see that in a moment yourself. I heard of his Karma Kitchen few years ago, several years ago, that there is a restaurant called Karma Kitchen in Berkeley, where at end of the lunch or dinner, there is no bill. You do not get a bill. You just enjoy, you leave. When you leave, there is a box. If you want to drop any money, fine, you don't have to. Called Karma Kitchen. So it's like, okay, so how is that business running? Is it not closed down? So they go, no, that's they have enough people putting in money that they are able to run. So that he was, at age 25, he thought of that. At that age, he was working in Silicon Valley like everyone else. He was in the dot-com boom economy. And he decided that, he thought about it one day, is this what I want out of my life? And he decided no. And he started Karma Kitchen. And since then, he has been doing so many things, I cannot even keep up with him. He is now the founder of Service Space. And so first time when I met him and I thanked him for doing Karma Kitchen, he gave me immediately 10 cards. And he said, you do 10 compassion things, something nice for other people. And when they say thank you to you, you give them one card and tell them to do something nice for other people and tell them to pass on the card to the next person. So a chain reaction, and that's what a compassion challenge he has started now. He has more than 1 million followers. When he gave a keynote address, one time there were 50,000 people in the audience. So that's the kind of amazing personality we have. With that, I'd like to bring our last keynote speaker of the day, Mr. Nipun Mehta. Nipun bhai.
Wow. To follow, well, Jai Jinendra. To follow John Lewis and Andrew Young has got to be one of the highlights of my life. How can it not be? Let's give them a round of applause as they're filing out. And if I can have the slides, beautiful. So today, I want to talk about an unpopular virtue, humility. In our world of selfies and status updates, relentless status updates, we've forgotten about this idea of humility. We live in an era, moreover, that thinks that we cannot afford to be humble. So today I want to share some stories that perhaps can rekindle that conversation around humility. This is at a retreat. I was at a retreat in India many years ago with grassroots changemakers. These guys at the end, we were having lunch in between, and we were having all kinds of different interesting conversations. On the first day, people don't know everybody. I was sitting at a table for lunch. A young boy from a village sits next to me. And I have this plate with rotli dal bhat shak, I'm having this, and the other person's having it. I close my eyes, as is my usual practice, for a moment of gratitude. And right as I open my eyes and I'm about to eat, I notice that this kid's hand is in my plate. I was very perplexed, and he probably saw my confusion, and he said, I just wanted a piece of your prayer. And he goes on to give me this bite. Exactly my response. I was like, wow, really? I said, I need to learn a lot from this guy. So we start talking, and as we're talking, I ask him, hey, so what do you do? And he said, he says, well, it's a little hard to describe what I do. And he goes on and he says, but I think it's a little bit like that sparrow in the famous fable. Have you heard of it? I was like, which one? He says, well, the sparrow hears that the sky is falling down. And Sparrow, out of compassion, sees that, wow, all these creatures are fleeing, so I want to help. What can I do? I'm just a sparrow. Then it has a brilliant idea. You know what the sparrow does? Lies down on its back, puts its feet up. So other creatures around him looked at him and says, hey, what are you doing, little sparrow? I heard the sky is falling, and I just wanted to do my little bit to keep the sky up. So I'm keeping my feet up. So small, silent, and humble is very opposite of the kind of world we live in, where it's grandiose, mundane, and loud. The world we live in is very much the polar opposite. A few years ago, Google released 5.2, a searchable database of 5.2 million books, ever published since 1500, I think. And researchers went crazy looking for patterns. What kind of words did we use, and what kind of words went in style, and what kind of words were out of fashion? And you know what they found? The usage of kindness and helpfulness went down by 56%. Modesty and humility went down by rather 52%. Modesty and humility. And phrases like community and common good, sort of this well-being of all, they lost in popularity to, I can do it myself. I come first. Right? The archetype of today's hero is this getter. It's like nice guys finish last. Right? Our systems are designed to privilege power, where respect is calibrated by, hey, what's your fancy title? How much do you have in your bank? Business cards, I don't know if you guys have been, I've been to one too many meetings like this, where before the handshakes and before the hugs comes the business card. So in our rat race to pad our resumes, we favor ambition over emergence and control over surrender. But can we really afford our arrogance? Without humility, our overblown sense of entitlement completely disconnects us. It increases narcissism and reduces our empathy. In May, I was in Bhutan with people who created gross national happiness. And they told me this incredible research. At University of Michigan, they've been studying empathy for many decades. So empathy, it turns out, was pretty steady. It would go down a little bit since 1980. And then all of a sudden in the last decade, in 2000, they saw a dramatic drop, 40% nosedive. So narcissism may be good for our economy, but when empathy goes down, our societal well-being goes down, it's not good for any one of us. And sure enough, just this week, we saw research that U.S. fell down in the Gallup poll of well-being, global well-being index. U.S. went from number 12 to number 23. Humility, though, changes the game. Humility can completely offer us a new story. I want to tell you the story of these monks. These are two monks, Reverend Heng Sher and Heng Chao. In 1970, they decided to do something incredible. They said, we're going to walk for world peace, not just walk. We're going to bow. Every 3 steps, one bow to the ground in California along the coastline. They did this last Tuesday. I was with Reverend Heng Sher. This is many years later now. And he told me this beautiful story about the power of humility. He says they were in LA somewhere, and in a distance they saw a bunch of kids line up over there. And what one of the kids did was, and they had this very negative energy, right? What one of the kids did is he took down one of these trash cans, this aluminum trash can, takes out the rod that connects the lid to the can, and he starts to slam it and swipe it, almost as if he's sharpening his blade to signal this impending doom that as you peaceful monks come up, I'm going to crack your skull. And that's exactly what he was doing. And his buddies around him were really egging him on. It was like, go with this vitriolic chant. And Reverend Heng Sher later, he wrote in his journals, he says, you know, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I had all the hair on my body stood up. But he says, my commitment was to unconditional compassion. That no matter what left turns and right turns people take in front of me, I want to bow with love. I want to end that chain of negativity with goodness. And that's precisely what he did. As he comes closer, this is the final bow, and Reverend Heng Sher bows down. And this guy, he's got his rod right here. He's ready. Others are egging him on, but right as he bows, he freezes. He cannot move his hand. Everyone else falls silent. And the monks just continue bowing. This is the power of humility. In our culture, humility is seen as a sign of weakness, when in reality, it is a gateway for unparalleled, profound strength. And we see this all over the board. This is Guru Arjan Dev. Of the 5 Sikh gurus, he was the 5th one. And this was his credo for the warriors. He says, humility is my mace, becoming the dust of everybody's feet is my sword. No evil can withstand those weapons. We know Jesus Christ washed the feet of his disciples, the 12 apostles. And you know what he says afterwards? He says, know ye, I have given you an example. On another occasion, he shares very clearly, says, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. For whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. Of course, in Jainism, there are so many incredible practices, but on that last day of Paryushan, when my Jain friends send me this email of Michami Dukram, I seek forgiveness for all wrong that I have done. I mean, how powerful. On the receiving end, I don't even send out those emails. I'm just on the receiving end, and it's incredibly powerful. Imagine what it must be to be on the giving end. All but it's a very powerful practice. It's a practice in humility. Mother Teresa, of course, if you look at more contemporary people, she was the beacon of this kind of humility. She said humility is the mother of all virtues. She says you can do no big things, only small things with great love. And we saw this throughout her life. And how could we forget this man? On the 30th of January 1948, he was assassinated, and the possessions to his name were just these things. This is all this man named Gandhi had. And in this famous photo, you can see that millions and millions of people, this was just in one area, but everyone came out to pour out their love and to pour out their grief. And this man who just had less than a dozen things ended up moving the world. Here's a clip of Edwin Murrow, who was at the funeral of Gandhi, relaying what he saw on CBS.
The object of this massive tribute died as he had always lived, a private man without wealth, without property, without official title or office. Mahatma Gandhi was not the commander of armies, nor a ruler of vast lands. He could not boast any scientific achievement or artistic gift. Yet men, governments, dignitaries from all over the world have joined hands today to pay homage to this little brown man in the loincloth who led his country to freedom. In the words of General George C. Marshall, the American Secretary of State, Mahatma Gandhi has become the spokesman for the conscience of all mankind. He was a man who made humility and simple truth more powerful than empires. And Albert Einstein added, generations to come will scarce believe that such a one as this, ever in flesh and blood, walked upon this earth.
So today I want to share with you 3 progressive doorways that humility is up. And the first is the power of many. In absence of humility, we forget the shoulders we stand on. We start to take singular credit for what we do. I remember growing up hearing this story from the Mahabharata. On Krishna's chariot, there's a dog. And the dog moves its tail to the left, and the chariot moves to the left. The dog moves its tail to the right, chariot moves to the right. Pretty soon the dog starts thinking, wow, I'm kind of controlling the chariot. It's this common mistake between correlation. It was a correlation. It wasn't causation. The dog is not controlling the chariot, and yet our arrogance precisely drives us to this kind of thinking. This was early on in my journey. I had also forgotten the wisdom of this. I started out doing all the right things. I did well in high school, went to UC Berkeley, got a prestigious job. And then in my early 20s, I quit from the corporate world, and I started service-based. I led this journey of service. That was what was my deepest calling. And it became very successful. First time I was on TV, it was a live half-an-hour interview on CNN. And people start congratulating you, right? We live in very tricky times. The ego is ever ready to build a story around our specialness. And when people applaud that, you almost start believing it. But bit by bit, this is on our walking pilgrimage in India, my wife and I in 2005, we realized that, man, everything you receive, there is grace. There are these gifts, and you cannot take credit for them. And as you look deeper, you realize that actually your life is a series of these cascading conditions. How can I possibly take credit? Even to stand here today, if I wasn't born to the parents that I was born to, if you were not born to the parents you were born to, and all the millions of different left turns and right turns you took, how could we even have this moment? We cannot. So we forget this. We forget that it takes so many conditions, but it takes all of us. And now science is showing us the power of this. This is actually a map of how happiness spreads. They realize happiness spreads in networks. Happiness loves company. If I'm happy, the people around me are going to be happy. It's not just happiness. Cancer spreads like a social contagion. Obesity spreads like a social contagion. So many things, even generosity, even kindness, even good news spreads in this way. Even fitness spreads in this way. So I keep telling my wife, it's like, if you want me to get in shape, you should work on my brother and mother, Get them on the treadmill. That'll get me in shape. But divorce works like that, right? If you have friends that are divorced, you are 147% more likely to be divorced yourself. So we know that all the good and the bad, everything happens in this chain, in this connected ecosystem that we call humanity. So with this understanding, a very significant insight emerges that everyone matters. Everyone has something to give. If we just flip that, it can create breakthrough possibilities. Like this guy, Firoz. Sweet guy, had a storybook sort of life. Met his college sweetheart, got married, got a job, got a promotion, does really well, turns entire divisions around, got more promotions. By the age of 36, he has 5,000 people working under him at a Fortune 500 company. And one day, his wife and him discover that they're going to be parents, a really happy day of his life. And then soon after, he realizes that actually they have a son who's autistic. And he says it took them 2 weeks to process that. And the question they kept to was, who will take care of our son when we are gone? And in this crucible of despair, though, they found their life purpose. This is Firoz and Dipali and Vivan. And this became their life purpose. As Firoz says, I want to change the world for Vivan, and my wife wants to change Vivan for the world. So they started doing a whole bunch of different projects. And then at one point, Firoz says, you know what? I've got people that I hire to solve problems in the world. Maybe everyone really does have a special gift. What are the gifts that autistic people bring to the table? Well, classic. They never lie. Wow, if only the rest of us could be like that. And so Firoz starts looking at these assets. He says, can I restructure my problems so that I can include these people into my ecosystem? He hires 5 autistic people, first time ever in a Fortune 500 company, and it goes amazingly well. Not only does it go amazingly well, the CEO of the company says this is so awesome, and he makes a public pledge. He says by 2020, we will have 1% of our staff is going to be on the autism spectrum. And someone runs into Firoz's office and says, Firoz, today has just created 650 jobs. And Firoz was in tears. That's Vivan. And all this transpired because Firoz understood that the best way to support his special child was to see the specialness in others. You can't do this by brute force or power. It requires a heart of humility. And when we trust in that heart of humility, we discover this power of many. So the second doorway that humility opens up is the power of one. Last year, I had this incredible privilege to meet Francois Pinoir. Francois Pinoir, as you know, is a very famous rugby player. I met him in Malaysia. Directed by Matt Damon in the movie Invictus. And he knew Mandela really well. And so since he knew Mandela really well, I knew he would have stories, so I kept pestering him for all these stories, which he was happy to share. But a recurring theme of all these personal anecdotes with Mandela was humility. Everything. So if you look at all these powerful stories around Mandela, humility. Robben Island, where Mandela was. I grew up thinking that this guy was a terrorist. He says all Afrikaners believed that Mandela was a terrorist. We put him in a jail cell and he puts his arms out wide. He says the jail cell was this wide. That's where he lived for 27 years. And this guy comes out of that, and this is the very first sentence that he shares. He says, I stand here before you not as a prophet, but as a humble servant. Humble servant. Of course, 1994, Mandela became the first democratically elected president in South Africa. You can imagine the civil tensions. Hundreds of people were dying. But they also had something very curious going on, which was rugby. Their rugby team was really good, and it looked like they could win. And the whole behind rugby. And a lot of people came to Mandela and says, this is the opportunity. Rugby was seen as a white man's sport. And a lot of people went to Mandela and says, change the team name, change the jersey, change the colors, represent like everything that was wrong with the apartheid movement. Let's change that. Let's use this moment in front of the whole country. But Mandela would not be Mandela if he agreed to such a vision. Mandela says, I see an opportunity. Yes, absolutely, but I see an opportunity for a higher standard. And he says, from town hall meetings to town hall meetings and sports clubs and all kinds of petty revenge, let us surprise them with generosity, with restraint, with compassion. And so Mandela actually succeeds. He succeeds, and they keep the team name, the jersey, the colors. It's the finals. South Africa is in the finals, and for the first time in its history, they have a chance to win. The game is an epic game. At the end of regulation, is tied. New Zealand 12, South Africa 12. And as they go into overtime, South Africa actually historic moment. And what happens after that? Take a look at this actual footage.
Experiment hanging in the balance.
Stransky looks for the drop. Has he got it? Yes, it's over. That is it. The final whistle then. South Africa win this Rugby World Cup final. And what a dramatic finish for the host country.
I don't think I've ever seen so many grown men on the rugby field cry.
After the win, Nelson Mandela, of his former enemies, prepared to step onto the field.
The crowd just went wild.
It was like a volcano erupting.
I'm trying to understand what the chant is. I realized that these white South African people were chanting their president's name.
This is Nelson. Nelson, Nelson.
Nelson, Nelson. Nelson, Nelson. That was one voice.
I never thought that we would hear that at a rugby stadium. At the time, I think it was just fantastic.
We didn't know what hit us. I mean, it was just the most phenomenal. It was really quite incredible.
The image of a joyous Mandela celebrating with the national team was mirrored in every corner of the once broken country. South Africans at last were rejoicing as one.
Then we had 65,000 South Africans here today. Tremendous support.
David, we didn't have 60,000 South Africans. We had 43 million South Africans.
For the first time, Mandela, everyone in the audience, everyone around the country and that was watching around the world, it was Mandela, Mandela. They actually chanted Shoshala, which was a Zulu chant, for this largely white crowd to chant Mandela's song that he used to sing in jail was a sign of unity, and he got there because of love. He got there because he believed in the power of one. This is the trophy presentation where this is Francois, and as they're exchanging trophies, Mandela, Francois, thank you for what you have done for the country. And again, Francois is completely floored by the humility of this guy. He's saying, yes, we won the Rugby World Cup, but you gave an example of love and you're thanking me. And Francois in his heart, it says, no, Ms. Madiba, that's what they call him, thank you for what you have done for the world. So third and the last is the most subtlest form of power that humility opens up, which is the power of zero. I met this man, Dada Vaswani, incredible human being, very spontaneously. He was 96 years old at the time, and as I met him, he needed two people to lift him up, but he wanted to stand up. He stood up, he comes to my ear, and he whispers, so grateful to have met you. And it wasn't because I was special, it was because for him, everyone was special. This is just how he treated everybody. He's a Sufi saint, respected by so many people, and he thinks everyone is special. And so I asked him about that. And he says, well, I get it from my teacher. I asked him about humility. Everything around him was humble. His aura was humble. The way he treated himself was so small and humble. And sometimes you're in front of people and it just makes you want to be like, yeah, I want to conquer the world. When you're with him, you felt like, yeah, I want to be noble. I want to be small. I want to be humble. It was the most empowering feeling, but not in a power sort of way, in a way. And so I asked him, and he says, this is what when somebody asked his teacher, what do you do? He says, my master said, I am zero. And not the zero of English, which has a lot of space in between, the nukta in Sindhi, which is just a dot. Even in that frame of humility, he's saying, I want to be the littlest. And when he says, that was the ideal placed in front of me. And he's practiced this his whole life. So we got to talking. I got to meet him a second time, also by serendipity. And we had this 30-40 minute conversation. And I asked him, I said, Dada, you're 96. You have millions of people that follow you. What happens after you die? And you know what he says? He says, I didn't start this movement. It's not for me to sustain it. Whichever forces brought it together will sustain it if it needs to be sustained. It's not my concern. Imagine giving your whole life, all your waking hours, since your 20s till you're 96, and then to say, look, it's not my show. That was what the Dada was. I knew he knew the Dalai Lama, and that's Amir Khan. I'm not going to go into humility of that photo. I wanted to ask him about this idea of being zero because I knew that he embodied this idea. So since he knew the Dalai Lama, I said, in Buddhism, there's this idea of bodhisattva, very similar to what in Jainism, there's this concept of jinas. So I said, what do you think about this idea of bodhisattvas? Bodhisattvas forsake their liberation in service of other people. It's an incredible state of being. And I asked him that. and he locked his eyes into mine. And then he recites this word for word by memory. He says, this is a poem by Shantideva, 14th century poet, and it reads like this. It says, may I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles. And for the boundless multitude of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and the sky until all beings are freed from sorrow and all are awakened. Imagine the compassion. To say that I will forsake my liberation until all beings are liberated. It is so incredibly powerful. So his voice died into the silence and no words can dispel. But then this gratitude welled up in me. And I asked him, I said, Dada, how can I be of service? And in his vintage humility, he stands in front and he says, I seek your tears of compassion. Wow, I didn't know how to respond. And when he asked for those tears of compassion, he was pointing to this power of zero, to the capacity to be an empty vessel. So the compassion's flood can effortlessly flow through us. And it all begins with the wisdom of humility. So I want to end with this story. So as I said, power of many, everyone is good at something. Power of one, everyone can be great at giving. Everyone can transform themselves. This is not the power of ego. It comes after we understand the power of many. And then ultimately the power of zero, where we become instruments with the understanding that everyone is connected to everything. So let me just end with the story of this woman. Shakuben was a janitor in a school, and she says, I want to be of service. I'm a janitor. She was a janitor for many years. And then she hears a story by Gandhi. Gandhi lost a small pencil, and he's looking everywhere in the ashram for this small pencil. And Kaka Sahib Kalilkar comes and he says, Bapu, you're the father of a nation. What are you looking for a small pencil? Here's a dozen pencils. And Bapu says, no, but you don't understand. That pencil was given to me by a child with a lot of love. It wasn't the size of the pencil, it was the size of the heart. Right? So Shakuben hears this story and says, I got an idea. I know what I'm going to do. From the next day, she starts sifting through the trash where she's a janitor, and she's looking for all the school supplies that people have thrown away, these small pencils and these erasers and these sharpeners. She collects them, and when I was at breakfast with her, this is a few years back, right as I'm leaving, she hands me this ripped pink bag. I knew what was in it. It was her first collection of these supplies. I couldn't even open it at that point. I went to another talk, and as I'm going, I'm on a panel, and I tell Shakuben's story. I put my hands in, and I take out her labor of love. I see that this is not just small pencils and broken erasers and blunt sharpeners. This is cradled with love. And when our gifts to the world are draped in that humility and reverence, an unspeakable thunder roars behind those raindrops. And this is precisely what Jainism invites us to do. Bow to all life, ahimsa. Bow to others' point of view, anekantavad. Bow to the needs of others, asteya. Bow to our interconnection, aparigraha. When we bow to all that is, we reframe our understanding of success and of our accomplishments. We discover that everyone is good at something, that anyone can find greatness in giving, that each is connected to all. We know then that our job is simply to be like that little sparrow and do our little bit to hold up the sky. A young friend who broke a piece of bread and offered up that bite, may we always strive to serve one another in small ways, and may we always hold a piece of each other's prayers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nipun Bhai. We are all humbled by your lessons and humility. Thank you very much. Now, Madhuben, Ashok Bhai, and Prem Bhai will present out to our Nipun Bhai. Thank you very much.
Just one note, if you liked his speech, he has 3 more sessions this afternoon and tomorrow. So please plan to attend one of his sessions if you liked it. We are not done. We have one last item. In honor of Gurudev Chitrapanu, we have Pathshala kids from JSGA who will perform Maitri Bhavno. That's the last item before lunch, then we disperse for lunch. So please stay for a few minutes.
Our little friends from Atlanta to sing the song of friendship, Maitri Bhavno. We will appreciate if they come to the stage. Thank you. In the meantime, when they are preparing, I will read the letter from Pramoda Ben. She is releasing her book of the fantastic recipes of vegan recipes, which is healthy lifestyle. And they will be for sale in the Jaina Ahimsa booth, and all the money will be donated. So this is the opening of Pramoda Ben's non-violence Ahimsa vegan book. And the name of the book is Rainbow Food for the Vegan Planet. So please help it, and all the money will go to Jivdaya. And the books are for sale in Jivdaya booth of Jaina. Thank you.
Please give us 2 minutes. They're setting up for Maitri Bhavno.
Testing 1, 2. Hello, hello.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Check.
Hello.
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 पवित्र चरणों कुछ हैया मावया करे शुभ थाओ आ सकल विश्वनु एवी भावना नित्य रहे गुण थी भरेला गुणी जन देखी हयो मारो नृत्य करे
हयो मारो नृत्य करे
हे संतोना चरण कमल मा मुझ जीवन नु अर्ज रहे दिल मां दर्द रहे
करुणा बीनी आंखों माती अश्रु नो शुभ शोत वहे
अश्रु नो शुभ शोत वहे जीवन पथिक ने मार्ग चींदवा उभो रहूं
मार्ग चींदवा उभो रहूं
अरे उपेक्षा ए मार्गनो तोये समता चित्त धरूं
तोये समता चित्त धरूं कृपानु
लावे
वेर जेर ना पापत जीने मंगल गीतो गावे
मंगल गीतो गावे मैत्री भावनो रणो पूज हैया मावया करे शुभ थाओ सकल विश्वनु एवी भावना